All right, guys. So I just wanted to briefly share how I now just thought about something and I just cried thinking about my grandma because I miss her a lot. And I feel like I let her down because I feel like I didn't save her. And although I did ask, and by the way, we interrupt this program. I just wanted to say that I do not own any copyrights to any music, just in case, okay? Just in case, even though it's just like music to, like, I put on for my son and I to sleep. Um, but yeah, I was just thinking about how after my grandmother passed, for 5 days straight, I looked into the sky around 5:30 to 6 o'clock in the morning. It was always at around the same time, right before the sun started shining. There was this huge star in the sky, and I was starting to think to myself now that maybe it was my grandma, that she was a star seed, because it was by our house all, like, every day for 5 days straight. I had it on my phone, but my red iPhone was stolen. And these people didn't want me to show the proof of so much proof I had of so many different things, about the gang stalking and what they did, who was involved. But I remember who you guys were. I remember everyone's face who was involved and what you did, what what the shirts that you were wearing when you said, what some people were wearing shirts like, I'm doing this for my sister. And I knew for some reason, it's like it meant something about a sister in my family. And then I remember the stuff I walked by, that it was saying things like I saw, not it. I'm sorry. It was because I was like envisioning the pictures in my mind about the things that I had witnessed in that time frame where, like, so you know what, I just realized something. The people that were watching me trying to traffic me, my son and I, the lady who tried to get me in the psychiatric hospital, the only thing I could think of is if she wasn't having a vendetta at me because of a man that, and I didn't know who she was, whether it was David Reed, the plumber dude, or Jacob Kerb, the dude that worked for Knife River. Those are the only two men I can think of that she could have been upset about, that had something to do with me, that I had some dealings with in the past, even though I didn't when I at that time, let's see, it was 2022. It was for months, for, I was gonna say for years, for months, at least for many months, that I haven't had any dealings with those individuals. And out of the blue, this woman comes and saying, now I call the cops on you to get you in more trouble than you can get out of. I was thinking back when I was homeless, when I first left my parents' house before my mom died, I was outside with my son. He was really little. I was walking around everywhere. That's why I was listening to Coi Leray song when she was like, all this walking around gonna make me better. Cause and that song called No More Parties. Numb to pain song. You know that. I know I'd be playing too much sometime with this stuff, guys, but my humor is what got me through a lot of stuff. But and I'm sorry if the music's a little bit too loud. I was gonna go turn it down some, but I was just laying here. I was thinking about my grandma being a starseed, anyways. But yeah, I went to let me finish that part first about my not my grandma, my the lady that came to me. They probably were mad because out of all that stuff that happened while I was walking out on the streets, when these plenty of black men in white cars, they were always those smaller cars, or they weren't big cars. It was like older Toyota Camrys or Toyota Corollas, or a Prius, or those smaller Ford cars that look like a little toy car. It's like it almost looks like a small little two-door humpback car. I will have to like find that car and then like put a picture of it up. Maybe I might see if I can find a picture of it and put it as the thumbnail of this, to show the cars, that one of the cars. And I told that story about how I was walking everywhere in Hillsboro, Oregon, and Beaverton, Oregon. That's why I knew it was a problem, because it was these preppy looking black men, like they, not preppy, but they look like the type, they didn't deal with women of color. If it was a woman of color, it wasn't melanated African American woman. But and I could tell they were like, some of them had like glasses on in their a polo, a collared shirt button up to their neck, and they were driving around everywhere. And the only person, I even told Alquan Davis about what was going on. He happened to walk by at that time and he was wearing blue, but because he was, you know, crippin' and stuff. But so I wasn't too afraid, but I saw him as the opportunity to get off that road. And when I saw how far it was going to take me to get off that road, I was like, by the time that happened, those guys would have gotten us. And one of the main cars that was following us around, that I thought might have been a detective at one point, because there was a car following that car around. It was a white vehicle. It said Maya 13, and it came to me that Maya 13 was trafficking people. So what I did, I wrote the message about that on the at the bus station. Oh yeah, I just remember that. It was at the bus station, like one of those bus stops. If anybody ever seen those messages, I was the one who wrote those messages warning people of that car riding around the town. They kept following us. They had MAYA 13 on the back. And it might have been someone gang stalking us, but for some reason it was revealed to me spiritually that they were trafficking. So I wrote that message. I said, be careful. And oh my gosh, I just remembered they used bus. It was a bus full of Mexicans on there, and they looked like they were all immigrants. And then she was like, something told me don't get on that bus, and I had it on camera too. That's why they took my phones, bro. Now I remember. Let me see, what were I trying to remember, where was I coming from that day? It was also the day that I saw somebody I don't even think was living, but they kept trying to give me food on the street. Some dude was upset. He did just like my sister. He was like, here, I don't want to miss my blessing. Can you take this food, please? He was upset because I wouldn't take food. And then I walked a little bit down the street. I just took it to make him leave me alone. But then after he gave me that plate of food, I remember looking into the distance and I saw a woman holding a red scarf. And I don't know, for some reason, to me, that was a spiritual sign of something wasn't right. Like, they were doing a sacrifice. So that's pretty much what I seen it as. So I said, no, I'm not going to eat this food. Because first he told me it was something it wasn't. And when I looked at how basic it looked, they thought because I was walking on the street that I couldn't survive. Like, dude, you don't know. I'm a soldier, bro. I'm a soldier survivor. But anyways, they thought because I was out on the streets that I didn't have money and I would be hungry and just take whatever somebody gave to me. No, I put that stuff on the trash can. So and it looked bland. I was like, maybe he didn't do anything. And that's when I was starting to that's when my paranoia started, because those people were following me. They were everywhere. I had to protect my son. A lady, if that lady's still in that house across the street from the Gateway Transit Center, Fred Meyer, not too far from there, she saw me outside. She came and gave me some fruits and nuts bars and stuff when I was sitting outside really early in the morning on the grass, trying to protect my son and keep him safe. And I kept seeing police officers drive back and forth, and the frequency of them driving back and forth, I thought they were looking for me, but I was right there. So I was like, well, if they were, so they were just gang stalking. I remember everything now. They were following behind U-Haul trucks with the truck was open, but they didn't have their lights on to custodially detain them. They were just following them. And then it's like they were, I don't know, they were heavily gang stalking me. They were trying to drive me insane, but it took months for it to finally happen. Then eventually, towards the end of the year, it took them some months. They did months and months and months of heinous things, like having children up at 10, 11 o'clock at night, riding around on their scooters, making noise at the Pepper Tree Inn Hotel at Beaverton, Oregon. That's why they wanted my phones to be taken. That's why they orchestrated what the fuck they orchestrated here at these apartments. That's why I put the name of the apartments out, and I don't give a damn, because it was so many. It was on a large scale that this stuff happened. And you still see that I have patience. You have no idea what I wanted to do to everybody. That's why I don't have any respect for the police officers out here that's doing what they're doing and trying to pretend they're nice. They were a part of it. It was an orchestrated group. Maybe not every single last one of them were, but the few select people at that time, back in 2022, when there was some fireworks going off, there was people everywhere. Like, but there was someone, they had people in red and blue, and then they used the frequency of voices trying to tell me which direction to go to drive me crazy. I figured it out later on. How I knew it wasn't voices like me being schizophrenic is because a man that claimed that his name was Romello when he jumped on the train, but he showed me an ID that said Darnell Ross. I don't even believe that was his real name, but it was on the TriMet train. Even the TriMet train one day saw me getting on the train with him, and they closed the door up on him. And a few times they weren't trying to let us get on. When I was with him, it's like things got worse. It's almost like the TriMet people knew who he was and didn't want him on there. And then when they saw me with him, that might be why they started messing with me, to make it seem like, because back then there was some, I remember one of the general reads that were happening at the time was a woman saying a man who escaped jail and he came to you or something like that. And it was true, because later on I remember meeting, I said that probably was that guy. He escaped jail, or he got out of jail for being in jail for so many years, and he was a bum dude too. It's the same guy that was fighting for the property in near Merlot Road, off of that train station. They tore that house down just like they tore the other house down that I had a dream of a dead body floating in the water, in the pool, the tub, old style porcelain pool of, I mean, bathtub next to the window in the dream. And when I walked down that street and I saw that house, it was the same house that was in my dream. And then I was like, that's, and then everything they were doing matched up with what was happening in my dream. They were trying to hide and get rid of stuff. The house was full of junk, and they sold it just like that. And I remember one time I kept walking down that street every day, sweat on my back and everything in the hot sun, from the Pepper Tree Inn Hotel all the way down Allen to like Hall or Allen area. But I was walking on Lombard Street. For those of you who live here, you know what I'm talking about. All of a sudden they kept saying MK Ultra inside of the freaking kickboxing class. I autopilotly somehow drove to that street, and then I saw that it was, the house was tore down now, but they still had the big tree outside. I could paint the picture, like I can describe everything plain as day. So I know why they would, now I know why they're trying to stop me all the time and try to give me tickets to stress me out, because they're upset that I'm exposing them for what the fuck they did. You lucky I ain't doing the other stuff. Y'all, you trying to get me to do the other version of what I can do to y'all. That's why I said what I said. If you release me out of my body, out of this vessel, I'm gonna wreak havoc upon all of you.